The afternoon light in Seattle felt like a soft gray curtain drawn across the sky. The air was damp with the scent of rain and roasted coffee drifting from the market by the pier. Maya sat beneath a narrow awning, her small hands resting quietly on her lap, her wheelchair angled toward the street. Her mother, Elena, stood beside her, clutching a folded coat as if it could shield her daughter from the stares of strangers and the world's quiet pity. Across the sidewalk, a teenage boy spread a plastic rain poncho over the wet ground. Beside him sat two orange buckets with faded paint, a chipped wooden stick, and a thin cardboard box that barely stayed upright. He wore a worn baseball cap pulled low over his brow. When he lifted his head, his eyes carried both hunger and light. He tapped once, then twice, testing the sound that came from the bucket. Then he began to play. The rhythm started slow, dry, steady, alive. The second strike found its echo in the rain. The third drew curious glances from passing strangers. The boy's hands moved with control, not to impress, but to speak. A little boy tugged his mother's sleeve and grinned. A street vendor swayed behind her cart. The drizzle softened into a steady mist. Maya turned her head. She didn't smile yet. She simply watched. The boy's rhythm shifted, one beat sharp, another soft, like footsteps in a story. Then, out of nowhere, he hit a rim shot that cracked through the air. Maya, startled, blinked, then laughed. A real laugh, not the thin sound of politeness, but the kind that escapes before you can stop it. Elena froze. She hadn't heard that sound in months. Her eyes stung. She wanted to pull her daughter close to hold on to that fragile moment before it vanished again. But Maya was still laughing, her shoulders shaking, her fingers tapping against the armrest of her chair as if they wanted to follow the rhythm. The boy noticed, but said nothing. He didn't look up or call for coins. He only slowed his beat, adjusting the tempo until it matched her breathing. The rain joined in, drumming softly against the awning above them. A woman in a gym jacket stopped nearby, her ID tag from the Community Wellness Center swinging from her neck. She tilted her head, listening like someone who recognized a good rhythm when she heard one. "That's a solid timing," she said to the boy, then turned to Maya with a gentle smile. "Do you like it, sweetheart?" Maya hesitated, then nodded. The boy switched hands, keeping the beat steady. The woman crouched beside the wheelchair, lowering her voice so only Maya and Elena could hear. "I'm a physical therapy coach at the center just down the street," she said. "That rhythm he's playing, it helps with focus, posture, and breathing. You don't need to do much, just listen and count in your head. It's simple, but it works." Elena looked uncertain. She glanced at the boy, his soaked sleeves, his careful eyes, the way his hands struck the bucket with both strength and respect. Everything in her head screamed risk, responsibility, rules. But then she heard her daughter's laughter again, round and alive, and those thoughts lost their power. "What's your name?" she asked softly. The boy seemed surprised that anyone cared to ask. "Jaden," he said. "I just keep the beat." The woman straightened, brushing rain from her shoulders. "I'm Coach Rita," she said. "We have a class on weekends. It's quiet, small, no cameras, no paperwork, no pressure. Just mats on the floor and a warm room to breathe in. You two should come by. Sometimes rhythm wakes up parts of us that therapy alone can't reach." Elena looked at Maya, whose eyes were shining in the muted light. Then she nodded, not to anyone in particular, just to the moment. "Maybe we will," she said. Jaden shifted his buckets closer together, making the tone deeper, gentler. "Oi, chushor." He played a short pattern, then stopped, letting the silence hang. The sound faded, replaced by the soft hiss of rain and the faint hum of passing traffic. In that quiet, everyone nearby seemed to breathe a little easier, as if the air itself had loosened. Coach Rita scribbled an address on a small piece of paper and handed it to Elena. "Tomorrow," she said kindly. "Any time." Elena took it, tucking it into her pocket. She wanted to say thank you, but the words caught in her throat. Maya was still smiling, her hand lifted toward the bucket, tracing invisible circles in the air. "Let's listen again tomorrow," she whispered. Jaden heard her. He touched the brim of his cap in a quiet promise, packed up his things, and stepped back into the rain. As the two women turned toward the street, the puddles shimmered under the silver light. Rita walked beside them, speaking softly about breathing and rhythm. Behind them, Jaden stood alone, his hand still warm from the beat that had changed something he couldn't name. He didn't know it yet, but that one rhythm, played to make a stranger smile, was about to open a door none of them could close again. But he had no idea that what came next would change everything. The next morning, the city was washed clean by a night of rain. Puddles reflected the gray sky like mirrors, and the air smelled of wet pavement and coffee. At the corner cafe near the community center, Elena sat with a paper cup warming her hands. Across the table, Maya stirred her hot chocolate, lost in thought. The little slip of paper with the address Coach Rita had given them lay between them, slightly crumpled but still legible. Elena had barely slept. Her mind had replayed yesterday's scene again and again. The laughter, the rhythm, the look on her daughter's face when she counted along. It was the first time in months she'd seen that kind of light in her child's eyes. Still, part of her hesitated. She'd built her life on control, on safety, on minimizing risk. That rhythm in the rain had been spontaneous, raw, and unpredictable. Everything she'd learned to avoid. "Mom?" Maya's small voice broke the silence. "Can we go?" Elena looked up. "To the community center?" Maya nodded. "You said maybe." Elena glanced at her watch. She didn't have a meeting until noon. The class was free. There was no real reason to say no, except the fear of what she couldn't control. She sighed softly, then smiled. "All right, let's go." The community center stood a few blocks away, its glass doors fogged from the warm air inside. Posters lined the entrance. After-school programs, yoga for seniors, a fundraiser for the local food bank. The sound of sneakers squeaking on polished floors echoed faintly from the gym. Inside, Coach Rita waved from a corner room. The space was small and bright, with mats stacked against one wall and mirrors lining another. "You made it," she said warmly. "Come in, both of you." Elena wheeled Maya inside, helping her settle near the window. A few other kids were already there, each with their own challenges. Braces, walkers, or tired eyes that spoke of long recoveries. Near the back, arranging his buckets and sticks, was Jaden. His cap was the same, but his shirt was clean and his grin shy when he saw them. "Hey," he said, his voice gentle. "Didn't think you'd actually come." Maya smiled. "You kept your promise." Rita clapped her hands once. "All right, everyone, today's a light session. Just breathing, rhythm, and small movement. Jaden here is helping us keep the beat." Elena stood off to the side, arms crossed, unsure if she belonged in the room or just in the doorway. She watched as Rita began counting softly. The kids followed. Inhale, exhale, small stretches. Jaden's rhythm started low and slow like a heartbeat. Maya's fingers began tapping against the armrest again. Her breathing fell into sync with the drum. Something about it felt natural, almost ancient. Elena realized that for the first time, her daughter wasn't looking down or away. She was engaged, present. But not everyone in the room seemed pleased. A man in a polo shirt, the center's operations assistant, poked his head in. "Rita," he said in a hushed voice, "is that kid cleared for this? Liability forms and all." Rita kept her tone calm. "He's not leading therapy," she replied. "He's just providing rhythm. It's voluntary." The man frowned, muttered something about rules and paperwork, and walked off. Elena felt a pang of discomfort. She hated breaking procedures. Her job revolved around them. But then she saw Maya raise both arms slightly, trying to mimic Rita's count. The movement was shaky, but it was movement. "Good," Rita encouraged. "Don't rush. Let the rhythm hold you." Jaden's hands moved faster, creating a brighter pattern. Maya's eyes widened, her face alive with concentration. She was breathing harder now, fighting to stay balanced. Her fingers clenched, but she didn't stop. When the session ended, Maya was flushed and smiling. Rita knelt beside her. "You did great today," she said. "We'll build on this next time." Elena approached Jaden. "Thank you," she said quietly. He shook his head. "She did it herself. I just played." Outside, the clouds had thinned, and the street was lined with cars from parents picking up their kids. Rita caught up to Elena near the curb. "You saw what happened in there," she said softly. "That spark matters more than perfect form or routine. Don't let paperwork steal it away." Elena nodded, unsure how to reply. She buckled Maya's seatbelt, glanced back toward the center's window, and saw Jaden still inside, stacking his buckets neatly. Maya leaned her head against the seat and whispered, half to herself, half to the rhythm still in her chest, "I want to go again." Elena started the car. The windshield wipers brushed away the last drops of rain. She looked at her daughter's reflection in the mirror, the faintest smile lingering there, and thought, maybe once won't hurt. She didn't notice the center's manager watching from the doorway, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. And then, in front of everyone at the next session, something unexpected would happen. The following Saturday, sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the community center. It was the kind of bright Seattle morning that felt borrowed, fleeting, almost too kind for the city's usual gray. The mats were laid out neatly, buckets lined up near the far wall. Jaden was already there, tightening the duct tape on one of the rims. His father's old van was parked outside, packed with tools and a blanket rolled neatly in the back. He had eaten a muffin someone left at the front desk and was tapping the beat against his knee, waiting. When Elena and Maya arrived, Rita was setting up music sheets. She greeted them with her usual warmth, though there was a hint of tension in her eyes. A few parents stood in a cluster near the doorway, murmuring quietly. One of them, a woman in a blazer with a fitness tracker on her wrist, whispered something about noise complaints and distractions. Elena caught fragments of it as she wheeled Maya in. Jaden looked up and smiled. "Hey, Maya, you ready?" Maya nodded, her hair tied in a loose ponytail, eyes shining. "Always." Rita clapped her hands. "Okay, everyone, let's warm up. Small movements. Remember to breathe with the rhythm." Jaden started softly. His sticks tapped against the plastic rim, steady and deep, like the hum of a train starting to move. The kids followed, some swaying gently, others clapping offbeat but smiling. Rita's voice guided them through breathing patterns. Elena stood aside again, her arms crossed, but her face softer now. Then, the door opened. The operations assistant from last week stepped in with a clipboard. "Coach Rita," he said, "we need a word." Rita frowned. "We're in session." "It's important," he insisted, lowering his voice, but not enough. "About that volunteer drummer. He can't keep participating without clearance or supervision. Liability issues." Elena stiffened. Rita's jaw tightened. "He's part of the program now," she said. "He's not paid. He's not touching anyone. He's just making noise in a medical class." The man cut in. "This isn't a talent show." The rhythm faltered. Maya's hands froze midair. Jaden lowered his sticks, his chest rising and falling quickly. The room went silent except for the squeak of sneakers on the floor outside. Rita turned to the class. "Keep breathing, everyone," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Jaden, take a short break, okay?" Jaden nodded quietly, stepping back toward the corner with his head low. Maya turned her chair, watching him. "He didn't do anything wrong," she said, her voice trembling. Elena's throat tightened. "It's all right, sweetheart," she whispered, though she didn't quite believe it. After a tense pause, Rita faced the assistant. "If you have concerns, talk to me after class," she said. "Right now, we're finishing what we started." The man hesitated, then sighed and left. The door clicked shut behind him. Rita looked back at Jaden. "Ready to pick up where you left off?" Jaden met her eyes and nodded once. He adjusted his buckets, tapped twice, and the rhythm came alive again. Quiet at first, then stronger, warmer. Maya tapped along, her fingers finding their courage. The other kids followed, and soon the room felt lighter, the tension dissolving like mist under sunlight. Elena felt her shoulders drop. The steady rhythm filled the space, steadying something inside her she hadn't realized was shaking. After the session ended, Rita approached Elena near the doorway. "Sorry about that interruption," she said softly. "Some people see paperwork before they see people." Elena looked down at Maya, who was still humming the rhythm under her breath. "You think they'll let him stay?" Rita gave a tired smile. "They might not have a choice. The kids like him, and he makes them want to move. You can't fake that." Jaden walked past them, balancing the two buckets under his arm. He looked up briefly. "See you next time." Maya grinned. "You better be here." Elena smiled too, but inside she felt something stirring, half gratitude, half unease. The program was helping, that much was clear, but rules had a way of catching up, and she knew the man with the clipboard wouldn't let this go quietly. As they left, the sunlight dimmed behind a cloud, and the faint thump of Jaden's beat followed them down the hall like a heartbeat refusing to stop. And then, during the next class, in front of a growing crowd of parents, something would happen that no one expected. By the next weekend, the gray had returned to Seattle, the kind of gray that blurs the skyline and makes even time feel heavy. Elena parked near the community center, gripping the steering wheel longer than needed before she finally exhaled. The last few days at work had been a storm of meetings and unread emails, but none of it sat as deep in her chest as the one message she kept rereading. It came from the corporate communications team. Short, cold, precise. "We've reviewed your recent involvement with a local rehabilitation program. While commendable, we advise minimizing visibility or personal engagement to avoid potential brand risk. Legal will follow up. Brand risk. They made it sound like compassion could stain her resume. Elena shut off the engine and turned to Maya, who was half dozing in the passenger seat. "Ready?" she asked softly. Maya blinked awake and nodded. "Is Jaden coming?" "I think so." Elena smiled faintly. "He's probably already inside." When they entered the center, they could feel the tension before anyone spoke. The man with the clipboard stood near the reception desk, whispering with another staff member. "Arrogance." Their eyes darted toward Elena, then away again. Rita caught sight of them and waved, her smile steady but thinner than usual. Inside the small practice room, Jaden was unpacking his buckets, but there was no grin this time. He looked tired, older somehow. "Morning," he said. Maya smiled, pretending not to notice the change in his tone. "You're late." Jaden chuckled softly. "Traffic," he said, though they both knew he'd walked. The session began quietly. Rita tried to keep the energy up, guiding the children through gentle stretches. Jaden found the rhythm, slower than usual, almost like a lullaby. Maya's eyes followed every motion of his hands. Her breathing matched his beat, her fingers moving with intent, her shoulders steadier now. For a moment, everything worked. The air felt balanced again. Then, from outside the room came raised voices. "Rita, I told you, this can't continue without clearance." It was the man from operations. His tone was sharper this time. "We already received complaints about noise and unregistered personnel." Rita's reply was calm but firm. "He's part of the therapy rhythm group. The kids are improving. You've seen it yourself." "I've seen liability," he snapped. "And now the Homeowners Association has filed a noise report. They want to revoke the evening sessions altogether." Maya's hands faltered. The rhythm broke. Jaden's sticks hovered midair. Elena felt heat rise in her chest. "Noise report?" she repeated. "They're children, not a construction crew." The man turned, startled to see her. "Ms. Park," he said quickly. "No offense, but this isn't personal. We're trying to maintain standards. There's a process for volunteers, background checks, insurance waivers." Rita cut in. "He's 16. He drums. He's helping these kids move again." Jaden stayed silent, gripping the sticks tighter. The man sighed. "Look, rules are rules. If he keeps showing up, we'll have to suspend the class." Silence fell. The children watched, unsure if they were allowed to breathe. Elena's heart thudded against her ribs. Every instinct from her corporate world told her to de-escalate, to smooth things over, to apologize for the inconvenience. But then she saw Maya. Her small hands clenched on the armrests, eyes glassy, not from tears, but from the kind of fear that comes when hope starts slipping away. She took a step forward. "Then change the rules," she said quietly. The man blinked. "Excuse me?" "Change the rules," Elena repeated, her voice steadier now. "You're measuring risk. I'm measuring results. My daughter is moving again because of him. You can't reduce that to paperwork." The man opened his mouth, but Rita raised her hand. "Let's finish the class," she said. "We can talk after." He hesitated, then left, muttering under his breath. Rita exhaled, her shoulders dropping. "All right," she said softly, turning back to the group. "Let's start again." Jaden looked at Maya, his eyes uncertain. She nodded. "Don't stop now." He began again, his rhythm low and steady, like a heartbeat beneath the surface of a storm. Slowly, the others joined in, clapping, swaying, breathing. The noise complaints, the rules, the gray sky outside. It all faded for a moment. Only the rhythm remained. When the session ended, Elena helped Maya back to the car. Jaden followed them to the door, stopping before he stepped outside. "I don't want to cause trouble," he said quietly. Elena looked at him, rain misting his hair. "You didn't," she said. "You reminded people what matters." He nodded, unsure what to say, and walked off into the drizzle, his buckets thumping softly at his side. Elena started the car but didn't drive yet. Through the windshield, she saw him disappear around the corner, his small figure swallowed by the gray. She didn't know why, but something in her told her this wouldn't be the last storm they'd face. And soon, a secret from Jaden's past would surface, one that connected him to her family in a way neither of them could have imagined. That night, the rain came harder than before. It drummed on rooftops, whispered through the trees, and settled against the van where Jaden and his father slept. The sound used to comfort him. It had a rhythm he could understand. But tonight, it only reminded him of what he might lose. Gabe was half asleep in the driver's seat, his jacket pulled tight against the cold. Jaden lay in the back, eyes open, watching the ceiling light flicker. The buckets were stacked beside him, and between them, wrapped in an old towel, was something he hadn't touched in months, a folded flyer with faded letters. Adaptive Dance Showcase, hosted by Seattle Children's Rehab Center. At the bottom, in small print, was a list of participants. Near the top, Maria Morales. Special thanks to the Park Foundation. His throat tightened when he saw it. His sister's name, Maria. She had danced once at that showcase years ago before the accident that took her life and left his father working 3 jobs to pay for the hospital bills. That was the same year the Park Foundation had quietly withdrawn funding from the center. The program shut down soon after. Jaden had kept the flyer not as a reminder of loss, but as proof that rhythm once healed something real. Now, somehow, he'd found himself in front of another little girl whose body had forgotten how to move, and her last name was Park. He wondered if her mother even remembered what that name had cost. The next morning, the van's windows fogged as he sat up, the paper still in his hands. His father stirred. "Another class today?" Gabe asked. "Maybe the last one," Jaden said quietly. Gabe rubbed his eyes. "You did good, son. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." At the community center, the mood was heavier. Rita greeted him at the door with a sigh. "They're still reviewing the volunteer issue," she said. "I don't know how long I can hold them off." Jaden nodded. "Then let's make this one count." Inside, the kids gathered as usual. Maya was already by the window, bright-eyed despite the gray light. When Jaden walked in, she waved. "You came!" "I promised, didn't I?" He smiled, setting his buckets down. The session began quietly, the rhythm slow and soft. Elena arrived late, slipping in at the back of the room. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Messages from work, her boss reminding her about a presentation due by evening. She muted it and looked up just as Jaden began a new pattern, one she hadn't heard before. It was gentler, layered, almost mournful. Rita noticed it too. "That's new," she said softly. Jaden hesitated. "It's from an old showcase," he said, voice low. "My sister used to dance to it." Elena's gaze lifted. Something inside her stirred, though she couldn't name why. Maya swayed lightly in her chair, her palms tapping her knees. "It feels happy and sad," she said. Jaden smiled faintly. "Yeah, that's what she used to say." The rhythm grew, filling the small room with warmth. Maya began lifting her arms higher, following the beat. The other kids joined in, their laughter echoing off the mirrors. Rita clapped softly, keeping time. When the class ended, the room was glowing with quiet joy. Elena approached Jaden as he packed up. "That song," she said. "Where did you learn it?" He hesitated, eyes on the floor. "My sister. She was part of a dance program years ago. The funding got pulled, and it shut down. She never got her last performance." Elena froze. "What program?" He handed her the worn flyer. "This one at the Children's Rehab Center downtown. The Park Foundation was one of the sponsors." Her breath caught. She remembered the memo, budget cuts, reallocation, numbers that had seemed abstract at the time. "You're saying that was your sister's program?" Jaden nodded slowly. "She loved it, said it made her feel free again. When it ended, she lost that. I promised I'd never stop drumming for people who needed it." Elena's voice trembled. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." Jaden shrugged gently. "Most people don't, but maybe that's how it's supposed to be. We lose something, and then we find a way to give it back." She looked at him, unable to speak. The flyer in her hand felt heavier than paper. It felt like a confession she hadn't meant to make. That night, after Maya had fallen asleep, Elena sat alone at her desk. The rain tapped softly on the window, steady and unhurried. She opened her laptop and searched her company's archives. The files were still there. Old budgets, cut proposals, the numbers that had ended the very program that could have saved a boy's sister. Her reflection stared back at her in the dark screen, tired and uncertain. For the first time, she wondered if the walls she'd built around her career had quietly cost more than she ever realized. Outside, in a van parked near the edge of the street, Jaden folded the flyer again and tucked it back into his bag. He didn't blame her, but something in his gut told him this story wasn't over. And what he didn't know was that the person who once shut down his sister's program was now about to fight for his future. The next morning, the sky over Seattle hung low and pale, the kind of white that made it hard to tell whether it was day or just another pause between rains. Elena parked her car outside the community center, her hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. She hadn't told anyone about the file she found last night, the one with her name on the approval line, next to the words, "Program discontinued." She stepped out, took a long breath, and walked inside. The hallway smelled faintly of detergent and damp sneakers. Voices echoed from the main room, children laughing, buckets tapping, the sound of Jaden's rhythm already filling the air. When she entered, Maya was mid-session with Rita, stretching her arms toward the beat. Jaden sat on the floor, drumming with an intensity that seemed different today. Focused, fierce, almost defiant, each strike on the bucket carried more weight, like he was telling a story without words. Elena stood quietly in the doorway watching. For a brief moment, it felt like the world had slowed down. The boy, the rhythm, the girl smiling again. Then Rita noticed her and waved her over. "Morning," Rita said softly. "You look like you haven't slept." Elena smiled faintly. "You could say that." Maya spotted her. "Mom, he's teaching me how to count the beat in eights." Elena knelt beside her. "I see that. You look strong." Maya nodded proudly, then turned back to Jaden, who kept the rhythm steady. Elena watched him, the memory of that flyer still fresh in her mind. She couldn't unsee her name printed under the budget cut that had changed his life. When the session ended, the kids filed out one by one. Rita stayed behind, helping Maya with her jacket. Jaden gathered his things, but Elena stopped him gently. "Can we talk?" He hesitated, then nodded. They stepped outside into the cool air. The rain had paused, leaving the street glistening like glass. "I saw the flyer again," she said quietly. "I looked into it. I was part of the team that approved the cuts back then." Jaden didn't speak. His eyes flickered, surprise, maybe pain, but he stayed still. "It wasn't personal," Elena continued. "We were told the funding wasn't being used efficiently. I didn't think about who it affected. I just did my job." He looked at her for a long moment. "You were the Park Foundation." She nodded, ashamed. "Yes." Jaden exhaled slowly. "My sister loved that program. She used to say the people there gave her a reason to move again. When it closed, she tried to keep dancing at home, but she didn't last long after that." Elena felt her throat tighten. "I'm so sorry, Jaden. I didn't know." He nodded, though his eyes stayed distant. "I know you didn't. Most people don't. But when I play, I think of her. It's like she's still here, reminding me to keep someone else moving." For a moment, they just stood there, listening to the rain begin again. Elena spoke softly. "You've given Maya something that money, medicine, and every therapist couldn't. And I think it's time I give something back." Jaden frowned. "What do you mean?" "Let me handle the rules," she said. "You keep playing." He started to protest, but the conviction in her tone stopped him. For the first time, she wasn't just speaking as a mother or a corporate executive. She sounded like someone who finally understood the cost of silence. That afternoon, Elena met with the center's director. The conversation was tense. Forms, approvals, regulations. But she pushed through every objection with quiet precision. She offered to cover the insurance, to file the paperwork, to make Jaden's role official under a community partnership initiative. It was bureaucracy turned into an act of redemption. By the time she left the office, the director had reluctantly agreed to a trial program. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Outside, the rain had stopped again. Jaden was waiting by the entrance, holding his old buckets like they were something sacred. "So," he asked. Elena smiled. "You're official now. You'll get a volunteer ID tomorrow." He blinked, unsure if she was joking. "You did that?" She nodded. "I owed it to someone. Maybe more than one person." Jaden's expression softened, the tension in his shoulders melting away. "Thank you," he said simply. Elena looked at him for a moment, her voice almost a whisper. "No, Jaden. Thank you for giving me a reason to fix what I broke." As she turned to leave, she saw Maya through the glass doors, practicing a stretch Rita had shown her. Her arms moved with newfound control, her smile bright and sure. The rhythm wasn't just in Jaden's hands anymore. It had spread, quietly, into all of them. But Elena didn't know that her small act of redemption would soon be tested when the program she'd just saved came under public scrutiny from her own company's board. The following week, the sky over Seattle looked cleaner than usual, bright, blue, almost hopeful. For the first time in months, Elena felt the air in her lungs without that familiar weight of guilt. Jaden had his volunteer badge now laminated and official, hanging from a thin lanyard that looked far too proud for something so small. Maya wore hers too, though hers only said participant, written in purple marker by Rita's playful hand. The class had grown. Word had spread about the rhythm sessions, the little girl in a wheelchair who smiled again, the teen drummer who played from his heart. A few new families had joined, curious and hopeful. Rita had suggested something bold, an open demonstration to show how rhythm-based therapy could reach the children others had given up on. Elena had agreed instantly. It felt like the right thing to do, until the email arrived. It came from the executive board of her company, marked urgent. Conflict of interest inquiry. Elena Park, Vice President of Product Strategy, has been identified as the primary sponsor of an unsanctioned community initiative. The activity involves minors and an unlicensed volunteer. Given the potential PR implications, please prepare a statement addressing your involvement. She stared at the screen in silence. The irony wasn't lost on her. She had built her entire career teaching others how to manage public image. Now her act of kindness was being filed under brand risk. That evening, she drove straight to the community center, the city's lights flickering through her windshield like a storm she couldn't outrun. Inside, the atmosphere was completely different, buzzing with excitement. Kids were decorating handmade signs. Rita was helping Maya rehearse a simple routine. And Jaden, he was fixing the tape on his buckets, grinning as Maya teased him about being nervous. When he noticed Elena, his grin faded slightly. "You okay?" he asked. She forced a smile. "Just a long day." Rita sensed the shift. "Everything all right?" Elena hesitated. "My company, they found out about this. About me sponsoring the program." Rita frowned. "And that's bad?" "It shouldn't be," Elena said. "But to them, this looks like a liability. They think I'm crossing boundaries." Jaden looked confused. "For helping kids?" She laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. "For caring without permission." Rita's face hardened. "Let them come see it themselves. If they can't understand what's happening in this room, that's on them." Elena nodded, though a knot of worry stayed tight in her chest. "The showcase tomorrow, it has to go perfectly. No mistakes, no noise complaints, no reason for them to shut us down." The next morning, the center was alive with movement. Parents brought snacks and folding chairs. The hall smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and excitement. Maya wore a blue dress that matched her mother's eyes, and Jaden had on his cleanest shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows. His father, Gabe, had come too, standing quietly in the back, proud but out of place among the polished professionals. When the music began, the room stilled. Jaden started the rhythm, slow, deliberate. Maya moved her hands, her body following the pulse like she had been waiting for this moment her entire life. The other kids joined in, each in their own way, some tapping feet, others clapping softly. The parents began to smile. Even the staff who'd once doubted them clapped along. Elena stood near the entrance, watching with her heart in her throat. Every beat, every motion felt like a tiny victory. She could see her daughter's confidence blooming right there in front of her eyes. Then the doors opened. A group of people in suits entered quietly. 3 from her company's board, 1 from legal, and a communications officer with a clipboard. They stood by the wall, expressionless. Elena's pulse quickened. Rita noticed them too, but kept her voice steady as she called the next routine. Jaden didn't look up. He stayed in rhythm. Maya turned her head slightly toward her mother, eyes bright with trust. And in that moment, Elena realized what was at stake. If this showcase failed, if the wrong person saw the wrong thing, everything, Maya's progress, Jaden's chance, the program's future, could vanish in a single decision made in a boardroom. Her fingers dug into her palm. She forced herself to breathe as the rhythm built. Jaden's hands moving faster, Maya spinning her wheelchair in small, graceful circles. The crowd clapped louder. Rita nodded, signaling the final sequence. Jaden ended with a clean, sharp tap. Silence followed, then applause, rising like a wave. The children laughed. Maya threw her hands in the air, radiant. Jaden grinned, bowing with mock seriousness. But in the back of the room, one of the executives turned to another and whispered something. Elena caught only a few words. Policy breach, exposure, press risk. Her heart sank. The applause couldn't drown out what she'd just heard. Rita touched her shoulder. "They can't ignore what they saw," she said softly. Elena nodded, though her eyes stayed on the board members leaving through the door. They had seen the joy, they had seen the progress, and still, she knew this wasn't over. Because before the night was over, someone from her company would make a call that would threaten everything she had just built. And Jaden would be the first to find out. That night, the community center glowed with leftover warmth, the kind that lingers after applause. Folding chairs were stacked in neat rows, stray ribbons still taped to the walls. Jaden helped Rita roll up mats while Maya laughed with another kid, the sound bright and easy. Elena stood near the door, thanking parents as they left. For a brief, fragile moment, it felt like peace. Then her phone buzzed. The screen lit up with a name she couldn't ignore. Thomas Greer, Communications Office. Her chest tightened. She stepped outside to answer, the cool air biting at her skin. "Elena," his voice was low, urgent. "We have a problem." A blogger from the local paper was at that event tonight. He's posting photos, mentions your name, your company, and something about a teenage street performer volunteering without a permit. Elena closed her eyes. "Thomas, it was a community showcase." "I know," he cut in, "but the board is spooked. They're worried about exposure and liability. They're considering issuing a formal statement distancing the company from your involvement." Her throat went dry. "You mean they're hanging me out to dry?" There was a pause. "I'm sorry, Elena. You might want to step back from this program, at least for now." She hung up slowly, the sound of rain starting again around her. The same rhythm that had once felt like healing now beat like warning. Inside, the lights flickered. Rita was laughing with one of the parents when she noticed Elena's face. "What happened?" Elena swallowed hard. "The board found out about the showcase. Someone took photos. They think this could damage the company's image." Rita's brow furrowed. "Image, that's all they ever see." Elena nodded weakly. "They're threatening to pull my position if I don't walk away." Jaden, still stacking chairs nearby, froze. "Walk away." Elena turned toward him. "It's complicated. My job." "It's not complicated," he said, voice tight but calm. "You said you wanted to fix what you broke. This is that." His words hit harder than she expected. "Jaden, Don't quit now," he said quietly. "Not when it's finally working." Before she could reply, Maya wheeled closer, sensing the tension. "Mom, what's wrong?" Elena forced a smile, crouching beside her. "Nothing, sweetheart. Everything's fine." But Maya's eyes searched hers, seeing what words couldn't hide. As they finished cleaning up, Rita approached Elena again. "Let them make their statements," she said. "Tomorrow, we keep going. If the kids show up, we show up." Elena nodded, though uncertainty gnawed at her. Outside, Jaden and his father loaded the buckets into the van. The rain had thickened, drumming steadily against the metal roof. Gabe glanced at his son. "You good?" Jaden didn't answer right away. He looked at the glowing windows of the center, where silhouettes moved behind the curtains. Children, parents, hope. "Yeah," he said softly. "Just thinking." The next afternoon, the center's parking lot filled faster than usual. Word about the showcase had spread across social media, and people from the neighborhood came to see the rhythm program that helped kids move again. But not everyone came to cheer. Near the entrance, two men in suits waited under umbrellas, one from the corporate PR office, the other from a local reporter's desk. Inside, the noise of laughter and drums grew. Maya was in her spot, ready, bright, and confident. Rita stood beside Jaden, whispering cues. Elena tried to focus on her daughter, but she could feel the storm brewing just outside those doors. Halfway through the routine, the doors opened. The reporter stepped in, cameras in hand. The children froze mid-motion. Rita whispered, "Keep playing." Jaden took a breath and struck the first beat again. Steady, powerful. Maya followed, tapping the sides of her chair, refusing to stop. The rhythm spread. The other kids joined, the sound swelling until it filled the room. Parents clapped, not out of politeness, but pride. Then a flash went off. One of the reporters lowered his camera and asked loudly, "Who organized this? Is this the company-sponsored therapy group?" Elena stepped forward before anyone else could answer. "No," she said firmly. "This isn't a company initiative. It's a community effort made possible by people who care more about children than headlines." The reporter frowned. "And the boy, is he trained? Licensed?" Jaden stood beside her now, water dripping from his sleeves. "No," he said simply. "Just someone who knows what it's like to lose and still keep moving." The room went quiet. Even the cameras hesitated. Rita turned to the kids and clapped once. "All right," she said, voice steady. From the top. And they began again. Louder, bolder, unstoppable. By the time the reporters left, the hall was alive with rhythm and laughter, but Elena knew the fallout was only beginning. That night, her inbox filled with messages, official notices, press requests, internal memos. The board wanted answers. Jaden, meanwhile, sat in the van with his father. He had seen enough of the world to recognize that something big had just shifted. Maybe for better, maybe not. He looked at the flyer he kept in his bag, now creased and fading. Beneath his sister's name, he traced the words Park Foundation one last time. Then he folded it, tucked it away, and whispered, "We're not done yet." And by the next morning, the story would explode online, forcing Elena to face the board and giving Jaden a chance to speak for himself in front of everyone who doubted him. By morning, the story was everywhere. Teen drummer helps disabled kids dance again. Corporate VP defies her own company for a community program. The photos from the showcase had spread across local news outlets and social media feeds overnight. One showed Maya mid-laugh, arms lifted toward the light, with Jaden in the background, smiling as he played. It should have been a story about hope, but the headlines twisted it into something else. Half inspiration, half scandal. At 8 o'clock sharp, Elena was summoned to a board meeting. She walked through the sleek glass doors of the company's downtown headquarters, the same ones she used to stride through with pride. Now, every reflection on the marble floor seemed to question her. Inside the conference room, the air was heavy with silence. Around the table sat the familiar faces, executives she'd led for years, each holding copies of the article. At the head of the table was the CEO, calm but distant. "Elena," he began, "we understand your intentions were good, but you represent this company. There are processes, policies. You can't act independently, especially not in a way that draws this kind of attention." Elena stood straight. "I didn't act as a representative of the company," she said evenly. "I acted as a mother and as a human being." A woman from legal leaned forward. "Your name and title are mentioned in every piece. The optics make it appear corporate-backed. We're now receiving media inquiries about liability, medical oversight, and children laughing," Elena interrupted. Her tone was calm, but the edge in her voice cut through the room. "You're afraid of the wrong thing." The CEO sighed, rubbing his temple. "Elena, no one is questioning your heart, but you put the company at risk. We need to issue a statement. Something neutral. You'll step back publicly, effective immediately." The words hit her like cold water, but she didn't flinch. "And if I don't?" The silence that followed said everything. She nodded slowly. "Then so be it." She gathered her folder, her voice quiet but firm. "If protecting an image means turning away from what's right, then maybe I've been working for the wrong image." When she left the building, the gray morning light felt sharper, cleaner. For the first time, she wasn't thinking about quarterly reports or shareholder expectations. She was thinking about the children who'd be waiting for her that afternoon. Meanwhile, at the community center, the tension had reached its peak. The director stood by the office door, phone pressed to his ear. "Yes, I've seen the news," he said wearily. "Yes, it's true she's connected to the company, but the program is safe. It's voluntary." He hung up, sighing. Rita walked in. "They're scared," she said quietly. "Half the staff think we'll lose funding." Before he could reply, the sound of drumming echoed down the hallway. Jaden was in the main room, already setting up. Maya clapped her hands when she saw him. "You're early," she said. Jaden grinned. "Couldn't sleep." When Elena arrived, the kids were mid-session. The rhythm filled the space, louder, freer. Rita caught her eye, smiling. "I didn't think you'd come," she said. "I don't work there anymore," Elena replied, "so I guess I'm free." Rita laughed softly. "Best resignation I've heard in years." By the end of the session, the energy in the room was electric. Parents joined in, clapping along. For once, no one seemed afraid of being too loud. When it ended, Elena gathered everyone near the front. "I need to tell you something," she said. "The company decided to cut ties with me, but that doesn't mean this ends. We can make this program official, on our own terms." The parents exchanged glances. One mother spoke up. "You mean fund it ourselves?" Elena nodded. "Yes, through the community, through people who see what's happening here." Before anyone could respond, Jaden stepped forward. He pulled the old flyer from his bag, the one with his sister's name. He held it up, his voice steady but full of emotion. "My sister was part of a program just like this. It ended because someone decided the numbers didn't add up. I don't want that to happen again." The room went still. Even the kids sensed the gravity of it. Jaden continued, "I don't have money, but I've got rhythm. I can play on the streets, in parks, anywhere. If people want to help, they will." A parent clapped first, then another. Within moments, the entire room joined in, applause blending into the rhythm of hope itself. Rita wiped at her eyes and turned to Elena. "Looks like you just got your first fundraising team." Later that evening, as the sun broke through the clouds, Elena sat on the front steps of the center beside Jaden and Maya. The street outside shimmered with puddles catching the golden light. "You know," Jaden said quietly, "I think my sister would have liked this place." Elena smiled. "Then she's part of it too." Maya leaned against her mother, humming one of Jaden's beats under her breath. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a fight. It felt like the beginning of something that belonged to everyone who refused to give up. But the story wasn't finished yet, because one unexpected act of kindness was about to turn their small community program into something far bigger than any of them imagined. A week later, sunlight poured through the windows of the community center, turning the polished floors into pools of gold. The rain had finally given Seattle a rest. Flyers about the rhythm therapy program now covered the bulletin board. Some printed, some handwritten, all carrying the same message: movement through music, healing through rhythm. The little project that had started with a few buckets and a shy smile had become the heartbeat of the neighborhood. Local cafes offered free snacks for the kids. A nearby music store donated real drums. Parents volunteered their time. It wasn't sleek or professional, but it was alive, loud, messy, and full of hope. That morning, Rita called everyone into a circle. "Before we start," she said, "there's something you should see." She held up her phone, eyes glistening. "A local foundation just shared our story. They're offering to fund the program for a full year." The room erupted in cheers. Maya clapped so hard her bracelet jingled. Jaden froze for a moment, processing the words, then grinned wider than anyone had ever seen. Elena covered her mouth, tears stinging her eyes. When the noise died down, Rita read the message aloud. They said, "We believe in communities that move to heal. Let this rhythm keep going." Elena felt her chest tighten with emotion. She thought of the countless meetings she'd sat through in her old office, where decisions were made by people who'd never seen the faces those decisions changed. And now, here she was, surrounded by those very faces, alive, moving, laughing. Jaden picked up his drumsticks. "Should we play something?" he asked, and the room answered with a resounding yes. He started the rhythm, steady, strong. The kids followed, clapping, stomping, singing. Maya counted aloud, her voice steady and confident. The rhythm grew until it filled the room, spilling out through the open windows and into the street, where passers-by slowed down just to listen. Outside, Gabe leaned against his van, watching through the doorway. His son was no longer a boy drumming for spare change. He was a teacher, a leader, someone who had turned pain into purpose. Elena stood near the back, her arm around Maya, watching the light dance across their faces. Every beat, every laugh, every step had brought them to this moment. When the song ended, the room fell quiet, as if the air itself wanted to hold the echo. Rita looked around at the faces glowing with sweat and joy. "You know what's funny?" she said with a smile. "For once, I think the noise complaints might actually be about too much happiness." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Later, as the children packed up, Jaden found Elena by the doorway. "You did this," he said softly. She shook her head. "No, you did. You started all of it, with one rhythm in the rain." He smiled. "Guess we both learned something." Elena looked at Maya, who was chatting with another child about performing again next week. "We learned that hope isn't corporate," she said quietly. "It's handmade, one person at a time." Outside, the sky was breaking open into a wash of orange and pink. The city hummed like a giant instrument tuning up for another day. As they stepped into the evening, Maya tapped the armrest of her chair in a slow, steady beat. Jaden joined in, their rhythms blending perfectly. Elena turned to look back at the center, its doors still open, the faint sound of laughter spilling into the street. She smiled and whispered to herself, "Maybe this is what real success sounds like." Then she looked up at the fading sky and added softly, "Do you believe that one rhythm, one act of kindness, can be worth more than all the money in the world?" Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and we'll see you again on Power and Karma.